Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Campa, and I'm a research associate in Center for Security Studies. Following these introductory aspects presented by Philomena regarding innovation procurement, I would like to go in more depth regarding the PCP implementation process, covering aspects, covering the pre-tendering phase and also the aspects related to the phase implementation. PCP is the public procurement of research and development services, that it is characterized by risk-benefit sharing under market conditions, a clear separation between the procurement of the R&D services from the deployment of commercial volumes of end products. As you can see in the current slide, this is separated with this yellow box. And it is also characterized by competitive development in phases. This means that the procurers will buy R&D from several competing R&D providers in parallel in order to compare and identify the best value for money solutions that the market could develop in order to address the challenge that they have set. Moreover, the PCP is split in phases, as you can see. We have the first phase, which is the solution design, the second one related to the prototype development, and the last one, which is the testing of a limited set of products in an operational environment. The number of the competing R&D providers is gradually reduced after its PCP phase, subsequent to intermediate evaluations. As you can see in the slide, there are some indicative phase durations, starting with phase 1, which can last from 3 to 6 months, and related to phase 2 and 3, we have an approximate duration of 6 to 12 months, something that it is subject to the service under procurement. Moreover, it is important to mention here that the TRL level that the phase 1 solution starts is 4 to 6, reaching at the end of phase 3 a TRL level of 6 to 8. In PCP, there are several different players involved, as you can see in this slide. We have the buyers, which are the procurement officers implementing the purchase of the products and the services. For the joint procurement procedure, which is the case in the Horizon 2020 projects, several buyers jointly procure the innovative services, and from them, one is selected to act as the entity that will represent the rest of the buyers group for the launch of the procurement and the implementation of the PCP. This is the lead procurer. Then we have the end users, that may be the buyers group or other entities. They are the recipients of the services that are purchased and used in the execution of their duties. They can stimulate the purchase of innovation through exchanges with the procurement officers. Once the PCP is launched, we have the tenders will submit their bids. The successful ones are going to the successful tenders will become the contractors, which will offer their innovative services to the public procurement officers and the buyers group and the lead procurer. So all these entities are linked to each other through agreements or contracts. We have the joint procurement agreement, which is signed among between the buyers group and the lead procurer, and it sets the conditions of the representation of the buyers group from the lead procurer. Then we have the successful tenders, which will sign a framework agreement with the successful tenders, and also a specific contract for each phase for the procurement is signed, given the successful of the contractor passed through this phase. So, starting up with the phases of the PCP, first we have the preparation and the planning of the PCP, starting with the tender specifications. As Philomena already mentioned, it all starts with a genuine and concrete need to improve the quality or the efficiency of the services of the public interest offered. So, in order to have a proper needs identification and assessment exercise, it is important in order to allow time for an effective understanding of the need. It will create the basis for the next steps of the procurement. It will ensure the proper information of the market, and of course, it will avoid the risk of this identified need to be turned into an urgent problem for the buyers. An instrument which needs to be considered is to transform this need into functional performance specifications. The technical specifications that are set in terms of functional requirements shift the responsibility for achieving better results to the market. It substantiates the item to be procured in relation to the problem to be solved, and it is at the very heart of the procurement procedure. It is very helpful for the market that the procurement solution to be described in a more general way and allowing to the bidder room in order to expand the way that their offer will address the common challenge. Of course, the tender specifications should take into account the findings of the open market consultation. So, following the needs assessment and the needs identification, we need to go to the prior art analysis in order to confirm whether this identified need is indeed an unmet need. This means that through this analysis, we need to identify all the information available in the public domain, like existing products, ongoing product development, published ideas, and whether they are IPR protected or not. If this prior art analysis reveals that there are already available solutions in the market that can meet this need, or that will become available in a short time before it is possible to complete the planned procurement, then there is no more need for innovative procurement, and the existing solution can be procured instead. The next important aspect is the selection of the procurement procedure. One decision that needs to be made is whether we are going to procure using one contract or a number of separate contracts, or lots as they call, which may be awarded and performed by different economic operators. From the first one, the usage of a single contract, we can identify savings that derive from the economies of scale, while the diversity resulting from the multiple contracts or lots can enhance the competition and increase efficiency. Moreover, as many of you already know, there are two types of procurement procedures. We have the open procedure and the restricted one. Since in the security domain, the most commonly used procedure is the second, I will mainly focus describing in more detail the two stages that it includes. So the first stage is the Tender Servancy. Here we have a term of reference public version that it is published, including all the necessary information in order to allow the industry to understand the scope of the tender. The interested economic operators are requested to submit all the necessary information that are requested in this document. And the economic operators are clear to pass on the second step after they have been evaluated based on the following criteria. The exclusion criteria, where the economic operators will be excluded for participation if they have been subject of a conviction by final judgment for one of the following reasons. Indicatively, here we refer to the participation in a criminal organization, corruption, fraud, or terrorist offenses. And the selection criteria, which are primarily related to the suitability of the bidder to perform the professional activity, their economic and financial standing, and the technical and professional ability to perform the contract. So after this procedure, the successful tenderers are requested to sign a non-disclosure agreement in order to receive the information that are included in the second step. During this second step, a restricted version of the tender document is sent to the successful tenderers, requiring a new submission. This restricted version is complementary to the public one referred to step 1, and it defines in detail the operational scenarios, technical requirements and specification, and the award criteria that will be used to evaluate the tenders in order to extract the most economically advantageous one on a best price quality ratio. The evaluation of the tenders is carried out by the relevant committee or committees, and the result is a unique and joint evaluation report. So, in relation to the award criteria, of course, besides the price, can be other criteria that are based on the quality, impact, and implementation of the submitted proposals. Regarding the impact part, this could refer to the added value of the solution to the society, economy, or the commercialization plan submitted. And regarding the implementation part, this could mainly refer to the quality or effectiveness of the proposed work plan and the resource and team allocation. Moving on to the verification and validation strategy, which is another important step in the preparation of a PCP. The verification and validation process, in the context of its definition, we need to find the key performance areas, which are important in order to determine the performance of the solution. These key performance areas are thematically grouped the indicators against which all participating solutions will be assessed for two conditions. The first one is the satisfactory completion of each phase, which is used for payment purposes. And the second one is the successful completion conditions, which is the eligibility of the contractors to bid in the next phase. Of course, this strategy should include the underlying pass criteria and the grading scale. So, after all these steps, we're moving on to the open market consultation procedure. This starts with the release of the prior information notice in the official journal of the European Commission. It is a powerful instrument that closes the gap between the demand and the supply, creating awareness about the procurer needs and the upcoming tender. Through these activities, the open market consultation activities, the buyers can evaluate whether the desired solution is already available in the market, the ability of the market to deliver what it is needed, the procurement model, and of course the project feasibility, meaning the capacity in order to achieve in a timely and costly efficient manner the results. So, taking into account all these preparatory activities, we move on to the call for tenders. This starts with the release of the contract notice, again published by the lead procurer in the official journal of the European Union. The document should be in English, indicating the way that the potential tenderers could take part in the procurement procedure, and of course, it needs to be promoted and advertised widely. At the same time, the tender documents are made available to the project website for free download. The tender documentation is inviting all interested economic operators to participate in the tendering process. And to do this, it takes into account the findings of the open market consultation, and it describes the common challenge that the procurers need to address. It describes also the process for the evaluation, the selection of the tenders for the first phase, the intermediate evaluation, and how this will happen for each of the following PCP phases, the minimum requirements that the subcontractors must comply with during the PCP, and the arrangements for the intellectual property rights, confidentiality, publicity, applicable law, and the dispute settlement. This document is the principal one of the tender, and its provision remain fully valid and applicable throughout the whole tender process. It is important that during this whole period, and before the deadline for the interested parties to submit their proposals, the buyers group it's important to be engaged in supporting the potential contractors by answering questions related to the call for tender, organizing perhaps a webinar or other industry events. So, following the receival of the submission of the tenders, which is made by electronic means, and their opening, we move on to the evaluation process, which is carried out in 6 steps. The first one is checking whether any of the exclusion grounds apply to the tender. For the second step, the tenders that have successfully passed through step 1 are assessed for if they have the necessary capabilities to perform the contract. and in order to do so, we use the selection criteria. Then for the tenders passing step 2, we evaluate the tender based on the on-off award criteria, and subsequently they're evaluated. We evaluate their tender based on the weighted award criteria. The fifth step is related to the opening of the economical offers, and as a final step, we have the final ranking of the proposal received. So all the tenders are notified for their scores, and the framework agreements are signed with the ones that are considered successful. The subcontracting awards go to the tenders that are sufficiently evaluated, both from technical and from a financial perspective. The framework agreements, one agreement per selected tender is signed between the lead procurer and the selected tenderer, and it sets out the terms and the conditions for the contract implementation. And as a last step, the lead procurer needs to release the contract award notice, indicating that the procurement has been finalized within 48 days after the conclusion of the framework agreement. So, having selected the successful tenders, we'll move on to the key actions related to phase 1 of the PCP. Here, the R&D providers will be engaged in order to design the potential solution, meaning deliver their paperwork. And this way, they should also verify the technical, economic, and organizational feasibility of their proposal in order to address the challenge that it was defined in the procurement documents. Each of these R&D providers is requested also to deliver the outputs of their work during this phase that will be incorporated in the end of phase report, including all the activities of the phase as well as the presentation of the results that they have achieved. A business or commercialization plan should be also included in this report. And following the receival of all this information, the evaluation committee will assess the results, and upon indication of a satisfactory completion, will provide the recommendation for their adequacy in order to release their payment. The evaluation committee also will assess which of the R&D providers has successfully completed the current phase, and so they are eligible in order to bid for phase 2. Upon the successful completion of the evaluation process, the board will also proceed to awarding the phase 2 contracts. Moving on to the key actions that are related to phase 2 and the prototype development. Here, the R&D providers will be engaged in the development of their prototype, and which will be based in the results of phase 1, and will subsequently test the said prototype in the lab conditions. The testing process will take place either in the provider's lab or in the procurer's lab, as it is selected in the tender documents. Each of the participating R&D providers are also again requested to deliver the outputs of their work along with the end user, the end of phase 2 report, incorporating all the activities of the phase under discussion. Again, a business commercialization plan is also requested, and the evaluation committees assess the aforementioned results, and in case of satisfactory completion, it releases the payment for the said phase. Again, the evaluation committee also assesses which solutions are promising, and so they are considered successfully completing the current phase, and they are eligible to bid towards phase 3. Upon the completion of this evaluation, the evaluation committee also will proceed with the awarding of the phase 3 contracts. So, in the last phase of the PCP, phase 3, where we have the testing of a limited set of products. Here the R&D providers are requested to produce a limited set of products or services, and they're requested to these solutions to be tested by the procurers in a relevant operational environment, meaning to go on a field testing. So, field testing results will be incorporated in updating the product and producing a final limited set of suitable solutions for a large scale production, that it will happen, as we said at the beginning of this presentation, after the closure of this procurement procedure. Each of the participating R&D providers will be requested by the hosting procurers to deliver the outputs of their work, along with their end of phase 3 report again. And here they will incorporate all the activities for the phase under discussion, including, again, the commercialization plans. The evaluation committee will assess the aforementioned result and provide a recommendation again for the payment purposes. And the evaluation committee will again assess which R&D providers have successfully completed the current phase. So this is all from my side. I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Maria, any questions?
Yes, I have one question. Thank you for the presentation, Maria. I would like to ask if the economic operators can present as a mean to qualification criteria ESPD. Is that possible?
The ESDP document is something that it is used for the administrative evaluation of the proposals, and actually it is a good, let's say, mean in order to speed up the administrative evaluation of the proposals. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And also I would like to ask if you have experience with evaluation of weighted criteria. How complicated is that? Because it looks to me that this can be very difficult phase of the PCP.
The evaluation of the proposals received is actually a pretty overloaded period for the buyers group. The way we have formulated, and I think also Yannis later will present for the Civil Next project, we usually use two evaluation committees. The first one is the technical one, undertaking all the technical aspects of the proposal evaluation, and the second one is the procurement one, procurement evaluation committee, which undertakes the evaluation of the rest elements that are included in a proposal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.